What's going on today, farm fans? We are in the messy garage again. It is April, I don't know, 9th or something, and the sun's shining, still cold outside, still have a little bit of snow. So we're going to do a video in the shop here again today, something that I think will be pretty interesting to a lot of people. What we're going to look at is some of these grease gun ends, couplers. There's two different ones we're going to look at here today. I think the information will be very helpful to someone who does a decent amount of greasing. You know, if you only go through one tube of grease a year or something, you have one little riding mower or whatever, then neither one of these products is really for you. You can use just a standard grease gun coupler that comes with your grease gun or whatever. You can buy those replacement ones and things if they wear out a lot cheaper. These guys here that we're going to look at today are around a little over $20 each. So most people don't want to spend 20 bucks or more on a coupler if they're, you know, they use the grease gun 2 or 3 times. All right, my phone rang. Sorry. Took care of that. So, yeah, the couplers, again, you know, if you're only doing a tube of grease a year, probably not worth the money for you. So yeah, so let's look at what we got here. The first one is, you can see most of the package. I still save the package. It says LockNLube. This was a LockNLube, this fitting right here that's been on the grease gun. I bought this LockNLube fitting or coupler. I've been using it over a year now, and it's been a great coupler. I haven't had any issues with it, and I did save the box because they give you, I don't know if you can read that there, it says free spare seal kit. Apparently there's some seals in there that can go bad or whatever. I have not had to use those yet. They're still in there, so but I had saved the box because they were in there, and I figured I'd lose them if I didn't save the box. So that's the original package minus the top that came in. Those are the seal kit, and there's the coupler. If you haven't seen one of these before, basically you just push down on the little handle here, and you can see the jaws come out on the end. You hook that on your grease zerk, let it go, and it makes a nice solid connection. I will show a little bit later in the video, we're going to use this one, but what we're going to do today is we're going to compare it to this one. This is Univer-Co, I guess is how you'd say that. It's a lock-on grease coupler, so it's similar, I believe, you know, where it's going to lock on to your grease zerk. It says up to 10,000 psi. And I believe I read that on this one as well, that, oh yeah, 10,000 psi right there. So they're both rated the same in terms of the pressure. And that's really nice because if you have a grease fitting that, you know, for us, sometimes our equipment sits outside, you know, and the rain gets in there, and you try and keep up with all the greasing. But once in a while you get one that the grease might harden up a little bit. So a coupler that has some pressure behind it, it'll push that old stuff out and push the new stuff in without you having to take the grease zerk out, or maybe take the pin out and clean everything up. It'll get you going again a lot faster. But we're going to look at this one today. I got this on Amazon. I will try and remember to put links to these if you guys wanted to check them out. I kind of like when people do that in videos if there's a cool product. That way I don't have to go and search for it. You can just kind of click down below and check it out. But this one is made in Canada. I've always had good luck with Canadian stuff. Everything I've ever had seems to be nice, high quality stuff. So that's good. But the reason we're trying this one today is because I have a small issue with this coupler. There's a few situations, just a handful of situations, that I cannot use this coupler. There'll be a zerk that's kind of buried down in, say, maybe here, and the hole will be big enough to get to that zerk, will be big enough to accommodate the end of this tip, but this little handle will not fit down in there. So what I have to do in a lot of circumstances, because I have just a handful of those fittings, I have a different grease gun, just a manual one that I keep around, and I have to go get that one out to finish. So I'm kind of tired of doing that. So I thought I'd try this new fitting. You can see how much smaller it is compared to that one. So let me go ahead and get this opened up out of the package here, and then we can do kind of a little comparison. Let's see if I can sit you guys right here. All right, so let's check this thing out here. Compare these two side by side. So this is the new one here. You can see how much smaller the diameter is here. Move this stuff out of the way. And even on the end, you can see how much smaller this coupler is than that one. So we're going to do a test here shortly, and we're going to, again, I'll show you guys, if anybody hasn't seen how this works, we'll use this one first, and then we're going to take this off, and we're going to put the new one on, and we're going to see how this one works. The Kubota skid steer's in here, so basically we'll grease one side of the machine with the LockNLube, and then we'll grease the other side of the machine with the Univer-Co grease coupler. So let's get started. All right, we got the gloves on. So the first thing I like to do is go through, and I like to wipe all the zerks off so that we don't have dirt going inside our grease fitting. Now, I've never greased this machine before since I've owned it. Regular subscribers will know that we haven't had this machine for too long. Let me make sure you guys can see what's going on here. All right, in case anybody asks, this is the grease that we use here. It's a Lucas Red and Tacky number 2. I've had good luck with it, so that's what we use. I'm sure there's lots of great ones out there. Go starting with the LockNLube fitting. Okay, so I got you guys down in there. So again, for those of you who've never used one of these before, really simple. Squeeze down, shove it in there, let it go, and do your thing. You can hear the grease come out, give it a little squeeze, and you're done. And we'll move over to the next one here. Alright, grease is coming out. Now, I do have an issue with this grease gun, that it only works on the high setting anymore. It has like a high and a low, and when you use it on the high setting, it shoots so much grease out that you have to go back through and wipe them all up. So one of the things that I've always liked about the LockNLube, and I think one of the reasons that they put this big handle on there, is no matter how much you try and stay clean, like keep your hands clean, they always get slimy. And having a big handle on there, it's very easy to operate it with slimy gloves. And I see my big mess. I got to go back through and clean that up. Stupid grease gun. I had one of these Lincoln grease guns before, and it was great, but this one, it broke 6 months after I got it, and hasn't worked great since. So let me wipe those up, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so we just had a delivery. Interrupted my video again. Busy day today. So, just to recap, more for my benefit than yours, because you're watching the video, so you already know what happened a second ago. That was like 10 minutes ago for me. So what we did, we used the LockNLube. We greased all the grease fittings on this side of the machine, and then I went back through and just wiped the excess grease up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the LockNLube off, which it's all greasy here, but that's not the fault of LockNLube. That is my grease gun, as I was saying there. I had one of these leaking grease guns for years and years, and finally the batteries started to go in it. So I said, well, you know, I'll just get myself a new one. So I got this new one, and I have not had good luck with it. I've actually been meaning to replace it with a Milwaukee. I have good luck with Milwaukee stuff, so I think that's what I'm going to do, is replace it with a Milwaukee. Yeah, basically what had happened with it, I was using it one day and a little bit of pressure built up on it, and all of a sudden the low speed just quit working. So now it only pumps grease out in high. Let me get a little Teflon tape for that. Okay, threw a little tape on there. We got her tightened down. So we'll see how she goes. There it is. It's on there. So let me go wipe up the grease fittings on the other side, and we'll get you moved over there. Okay, so this coupler works a little different than the other one. What we actually do, we line it up here, and we push it right on, and there it is. So let's give it a go. Grease popping out, and then this little ring here, we just pull back on it. Definitely some pressure built up there. Alright, let's do another one here. Same thing, push in, it clicks. Pushing the old grease out. And then we just pull back on it. Boom, right off. Alright, let's finish greasing this up. Push in. Pop it off. It sure pops on there easy, but I have to say that when it gets a little pressure on it, it's definitely harder to pop there's that little tiny ring on there. It's a little harder to pop that off than on the LockNLube. Okay, so that was just a quick use of it. Nobody wants to sit there and watch me grease stuff for 45 minutes. But I just kind of wanted to show you, if you weren't familiar with the two products, what the differences were. And also, I had never used this one, this Univer-Co. I had never used that before anyway. You saw me take it out of the package. So here they are again, kind of side by side. You can see the differences. Final thoughts for me on what I felt between the two. I was a little bit worried about this one having greasy fingers and not being able to hang on to it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. They have serrated the edge of this coupler, so it grips your gloves and fingers very well. So that wasn't an issue. I think between the two, This one definitely goes on faster. Basically, you just push it on there and it clicks right on. This one you have to, squeeze the lever down. You got to wiggle it and make sure that the jaws on the end of this retract over like it's supposed to, because I have had that happen in the past. Sometimes you got to wiggle the hose a little bit to get the coupler on there. This one seems to pop on there a little bit better. Again, able to hang on to both of these well. This one does come off just a little bit easier with the bigger handle on here. You have a little bit more leverage. This, you just have this little ring that goes around here to kind of pull on besides this area here. So this one definitely is a little easier to take off. And of course, longevity wise, I just opened this and used it 9 or 10 times there on the machine. So I don't know how long it's going to last. This one I've been using for well over a year, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, I haven't even opened any of those seal kits. It's been a very good product, but I am going to leave this one on my grease gun. And the reason I'm leaving it on there is for the reason I gave earlier in the video, why I'm even trying the product in the first place. This big LockNLube coupler just does not fit in some of the areas it needs to go. Some of the PTO shafts, the covers are real big on them, and the grease fitting is way down in there, and the hole's only big enough to get the end down in there. And then there's some other circumstances that I said, that I mentioned earlier, that same thing, you just can't get this big coupler down in there. And it's frustrating because I really like it. I really like the LockNLube, but it's just that handful of places it won't go, and it's because of that it's irritating to have to go and get another grease gun with a different end on it just to do, it may be like 2 fittings on 4 or 5 different pieces of equipment. So it's not even all on one piece of equipment. So if I'm doing greasing a whole bunch of stuff in one day, like getting ready to bale hay, for example, for one day, I'm going to have to keep going and getting that grease gun out, or I'm going to have to carry 2 of them around or whatever. So for me, convenience-wise, for now, I am leaving this one on. If it holds up, that's going to be the new go-to for me. I can't obviously recommend either one of these for you guys. You sort of have to make that decision. If you don't have any tight areas and you only want to buy one, I guess I'd go with the LockNLube just because I know I've had mine for a while and I haven't had any issues with it. But if you do have some tight areas, I think I would take a chance on this Univer-Co fitting. Like I said, I'm leaving mine on. It's made in Canada. I honestly don't think I'm going to have any issues with it. So that's the one I'm going to keep on here. You guys can make your decision on that. If anybody has any other grease fitting couplers, any other ends that they use that are similar in construction to this, meaning it'll hold up to that 10,000 psi of pressure, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd really like to check them out and see what else is out there. So leave that down in the comments. And if any of the LockNLube people happen to see this, you guys have a great product, but we need a more slim, compact version of it. So you need to get on that, and then I'd be happy to try it again. So again, if anybody has any questions, comments, whatever, leave them down in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. I always like feedback on the videos or the products that we have on here or whatever's going on. So feel free to chime in on that. Maybe you've had a good experience, bad experience with either one of these. So leave that down in the comments too. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it was helpful to you. That's why I made it, was for other people that have a lot of greasing to do. Hopefully this will be helpful to them. So if you made it to the end of the video, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you leave us a comment. I hope you'll subscribe to our channel. Stick around for a while. We'll see you on the next one.